What is up, everybody? Katie Blanchard here, Schroth Method physical therapist. Tonight we are going to be talking about why hanging exercises are so good for scoliosis, and I'm going to show you 3 different exercises that are different types of hanging based on skill level that you can apply to your curve. And these exercises are really great because they really apply to any curve type. So it doesn't matter if you have that thoracic right, lumbar left, if you have an S curve, if you have a C curve, if you have only a lumbar curve, this is still for you. Okay, great. So if you are on here live, please comment in the comments below the word live. And if you're watching the replay, please comment the word replay in the comments so that I know you're on and that I can thank you for being in the group. And as well, if you have any questions, just put them in the comments and I will answer them throughout the video. Well, great. So why are hanging exercises so important for scoliosis? So as we've been talking about in other videos, the concept of elongation and expansion and muscle activation are the 3 main concepts of the Schroth Method. Hanging focuses more on elongation. So when we think about elongation, we're thinking about the head kind of going upwards and the feet going downwards into the ground to pull the spine lengthwise. So I'll show you with our spine model here. So this is like the back of a spine here. So if this scoliosis is like this, so let's say it's an S-shaped scoliosis, and let's say we focus on elongation. So it's kind of like we're pulling at both ends of the spine this way, and by pulling at both ends, it comes back all the way straight. A little bit easier to see, so that's like the S-shaped curve. I'll show you with my bendy ruler here. So if this is my spine here, my head is at the top, my feet and my butt is at the bottom, and I have an S-shaped curve like this. And if I focus on elongation and I pull at both ends, head going up, feet and butt going down, and the spine is still mobile and flexible, that can influence the spine to go back towards center and straighten out. And then same thing, let's say I have a one-sided C curve here. Okay, so there's not 2 curves in the back, there's just one. And it looks like a C, like this. Same thing, if we focus on elongation and we pull at both ends, we can influence the spine to straighten out. So that's the concept of elongation. And this concept is also really good for spines that have pain. So, not a ton of kids have back pain with scoliosis. Most of them are pain-free. But some of the time, kids do tend to develop like pain in their upper back towards the side of their curve, so kind of along the shoulder blade, or sometimes in the low back. Depending on if they play a sport, they may have pain with that. A lot of dancers, tumblers, cheerleaders tend to get low back pain with scoliosis. Or just with sitting in class. Sometimes kids get pain because they're sitting all day or they're doing e-learning during COVID. And they had, bad posture at the computer all day or texting, things like that. Pain can develop. So elongation helps with that kind of pain. So again, if we look at the spine, so the spine is made up of all these little vertebrae. And in between, there are these little discs. So those are called intervertebral discs. And then coming out of the sides, we have those yellow things there. Those are your spinal nerves. And sometimes when you have scoliosis, you're more prone to these discs being compressed or one shifting one way or the other and compressing either the disc or the nerve, which can cause pain. And so with elongation, we can imagine pulling at both ends like I was showing you before, and that's going to create more space in between each little vertebrae to decrease that compression on the disc that may be causing pain, or decrease the pressure and compression on the nerve that's coming out of the side there to relieve that kind of pain. So this is actually really good for adults with scoliosis as well because it relieves the compression and helps with pain. All right, so The key to all these hanging exercises is elongation and traction or distraction of the spine. So let's go through these 3 exercises. The first one is going to be a semi-hang exercise. The second one is called a seated 50 per exercise. And the third one is a full hanging position. So let's go over the semi-hang first. Awesome. So a semi-hang is you're going to use either your Schroth bars, if you have them at home or at a clinic, or the gym. A lot of gyms have stall bars that you could do this with. Or you can use a PVC pipe or a broomstick or a hockey stick connected to a stretch out strap, which you can set up in your door frame at home. Or you can even use like a pull-up bar that goes in between the door. I'll post another video. I don't have an at-home pull-up bar, but I'll post another video on how to set up the hanging bar using a little PVC pipe or your broomstick and a stretch-out strap. So this can be done at home. You don't definitely need the Schroth bars, but I'll demonstrate on the bars here. So first, the semi-hang. A semi-hang means that you have your hands above the head. You're going to put your feet forward and shoulder width. Let me tilt my camera down so you can see my feet all the way here. Great. So my hands are overhead, my feet are forwards and almost underneath the first bar of the Schroth bars. And then I'm going to go down into a squat or hanging squat kind of position. Okay? So this is called a semi-hang position. And what we want to look for is a 90-degree bend in the hips here, okay? So if I were too low, I'd be at more than 90 degrees and my knees are up high. And if I'm too high, I'm not bending my knees down enough. So from here, my hips are bent to 90 degrees. So it's like if someone came and hit me right here, boom, my butt goes outward. And that's that 90-degree angle. And my spine is going to be nice and neutral and flat. And my knees are not touching the bar, but my arms start to feel a little bit of a stretch right through here. So this is your semi-hang position. Okay, so 90 degrees of hip flexion. And then we're going to look at the low back here. So we don't want our low back to be super arched like this. So in this position, you can see I have an arch in my back. So what I want to do, if I end up here, my bust is kind of forward. So I'm going to bring my bust back and I'm going to tuck my butt underneath me like this. Okay? And that's going to create that neutral spine that we're looking for instead of being arched in the low back. So I'm in this position here, neutral spine. I kind of find that middle point. I'm not arched. I'm not rounded. I'm in between. Okay? So right there, that is my semi-hang position. And now, when I'm in this semi-hang position, I'm going to do Schroth breathing as we went over before. So I'm just going to do 5 breaths. So I'm breathing in, expanding my rib cage wide, and then breathing out nice and long. Not letting my rib cage collapse, keeping the tension and the contraction of the little muscles in between my ribs to keep the rib cage wide. Okay, so that's the semi-hang position. And I can do 4 sets of 5 breaths. So I stay in my hang for about 5 breaths. I stand up and I relax, okay? So it's a semi-hang because I still have my weight through my feet to hold me up, but I'm still hanging using my arms up high. Now this is tough for some kids because it tends to hurt your hands. Hanging on to something for so long, or they just can't tolerate having all of that weight through their shoulders. So there's a way to make it a little bit easier and nicer. I have a little power band here. So these are the ones you can get on Amazon. They're used in CrossFit gyms, PT gyms, and they're pretty cheap. So what you're going to do is you're going to tie it around the top of your bar here. And actually, I'm going to tie it around the top one. And then this is going to go around the body. And then I'm going to pull it all the way underneath my butt. And I'm going to sit in this band like a swing. So I'm in the same position, so down to that 90 degrees of hip flexion. But now it's a lot easier for me to stay in this position because the band is helping me and pulling me upwards. So I can sit much easier and I can breathe my 5 breaths with less tension through my arms utilizing the band assist. Okay, so some ways to just make it easier and more fun for kids. You know, a lot of my patients like to bounce it out in between reps and sets, you know, have a little bit of fun, especially my kids who have special sensory needs or are special needs themselves, or have ADD, ADHD that need something to kind of, you know, tone down or distract them, or make things just a little bit more fun. Awesome. So that's just the first exercise. That is a semi-hang exercise. If you have any questions about that one, feel free to post below and I can answer for you. But we're going to move on to the second one, which is the 50 per exercise. So this one, you're going to sit cross-legged in front of the bars, and you could set up your pull-up bar or your hanging bar in the doorway the same way. So I'm sitting cross-legged. And then I'm going to have my spine nice and straight behind me. I'm not slouched like this, and I'm not arched back like this. And then it's the same concept. I'm going to do my Schroth breathing, but this time I'm sitting on the ground and I'm going to induce the hanging position by bringing my shoulder blades down and back in this sort of position. So I'm not bending my elbows like a pull-up. It's just bringing and imagining my shoulder blades moving down my back. So it looks like this. I'm going to breathe in, keep my rib cage expanded, breathe out, and pull my shoulder blades downwards. And what that does is lift my butt off the ground into a hanging position, but my feet are still on the ground. Okay? So that is the 50 per. Breathe in, pull the shoulder blades down, get into that hanging position, and then breathe out and release. Okay? So that's the 50 per exercise. And again, this is the position of the arms. And then all I'm doing is just pulling my shoulder blades back and retracting like this. Okay, so not bending the elbows, just retracting and depressing the shoulder blades downward to lift my whole body up. So that's the 50 per exercise. It's called 50 per because in the original Schroth method, which was invented by Katarina Schroth, that was used as a warm-up exercise actually, and the kids would be doing 50 of those in a row, which is actually very, very impressive. I haven't seen any of my patients being able to do that. We usually do like 2 sets of 10 for that one, but 50 is a great thing to try to work towards. Alrighty, finally, the third hanging exercise that we're going to do is the full hanging exercise, okay? So, full hanging, hands at the top of the bars here, and this is more advanced. As your strength and your kiddo's strength builds, this one might be a little bit better for them. And so basically, you're super close to your bars. You could put your pull-up bar really high, your hanging bar high, and then all you're going to do is just pull, same kind of position, is hang all the way from the top, and then just let the body hang down. And this decompresses the spine, feels really good, and as you can see, my feet are off the ground. And in this position, I could do that same scapular retraction. So I breathe in, breathe out, and depress my shoulders, lifting my body up and decompressing the spine. And I'm thinking about my head going up and my feet and butt kind of going down to let that tension release and create more space in the spine. So again, this sort of movement here, and it's just tiny. And so imagining my head going up and my feet going downwards to decompress each little vertebrae a little bit, and relax the spine. Awesome. So those are your 3 hanging exercises. And remember, we're emphasizing elongation of the spine. This applies to every curve of scoliosis, and it's just good for back pain in general. Awesome. So if you guys have questions, feel free to throw them in the comments here, And if we're on the right track in the group, please let me know. If you guys like these exercises, we'll go more towards this and do more exercise demos. If you guys want stories of, successes, failures in the Schroth Method and scoliosis, we can go that route too. Awesome. So if this was valuable, throw the word valuable in the comments, post any questions, and I will get back to you. Awesome. Everybody have a wonderful Thursday evening.